In this episode, we will talk about whether most expats living in the Philippines are broke. We will also read the question and hear some responses from fellow expats and others who know of this topic. The truth is, most of the expats that come to the Philippines come for two or three main reasons. The top one obviously being the easy and affordable women. Secondly, it's because they are probably living on a pension or some sort of disability. Thus, the Philippines initially seems very appealing. But when they come here, they realize cost of living can actually be a little bit higher than they expected, especially if they visited neighboring countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. This will soon slap them on the face as a fact and reality. Here is today's question from Reddit. Internal Apple asks, I see so many expats around me complaining about 15,000 pesos rent, 100 pesos coffee, and other incoherent small budget mistakes while trying to date models and Miss Filipinas at the price of street food. Shifisu says most people don't go to relatively cheap developing countries because they are swimming in money. Yes, if people had the money and the resources to live anywhere, I promise you they will not choose the Philippines. Most people who choose to live in the Philippines are either misinformed or have knocked up a Filipino woman or some sort of situation that keeps them there. Most people are not there by choice. And if they are, it's because they have never traveled to any other country except for their home country and the Philippines. Pasta Panda Simon says, I'd say the vast majority don't, simply because there are objectively more appealing countries in the area to park wealth if you had it. In terms of stability, security, infrastructure, quality, with comparable natural beauty, you really have to subjectively love the Philippines for some reasons to choose it if you have the money to be anywhere. And it's just not a common first choice at all. Even in Thailand and Malaysia, where just slightly more money can get you much higher quality life, rich expats are such a small minority. The Philippines have naturally even less of them. Even in Makati, BGC, which some foreigners forget, are the equivalents of basically Beverly Hills. This person also seems to be saying the same thing as I said regarding choice. SG says, they are complaining the same way people all over the world complain about how prices have increased. If they are long-time residents in the Philippines, they aren't looking at the prices in relation to their home country. Also, how old are the people you are talking about? The older I get, the better things used to be, and the better I was. That being said, broke is subjective. Most precisely, lots of people forget that the Philippines is very pricey when you compare it to other similar developing or third world countries. Most people that are on vacation don't seem to recognize this or notice it very much since they are only in the country for about 2 weeks and they are comparing the prices to their home country, not to the quality of the materials or services that they receive. Thus, the reason why many people think the Philippines is amazing and they try to defend it. For those of us who have lived here more than a year, can definitely let you know that it's overpriced and definitely not worth what you're paying for in most situations. Mr. Potato Head also wants to say, the majority of expats are living on an average of 1,000 to 2,000 US dollars a month. Additionally, hidden healthcare costs often arise due to poor diets and lack of exercise, contributing to the prevalence of the standard overweight older dude who lost in the Philippines says it could be the guys who have been here for 10 to 20 years. I had a conversation with a guy who has been here for 20 plus years, and he thought that the Philippines costs as much as the United States in terms of rent and other things because that's what he was paying the last time he lived in the US in the early 2000s. I don't think they realize how expensive things are in the US now. The condo I rented here in 2015 is more than double now what it was then. Just for reference, I have been living in the US until last year And the 15,000 peso rent I pay for my house is amazing. It's twice as big as place I was renting in the US for a quarter of the price. There are also broke people who come here with a dream, but dreams don't pay the bills. One thing that needs to be addressed is that most people who travel to the Philippines tend to stay in major cities such as Manila, BGC, Makati, Cebu City, Davao, and other similar places. So, they want to feel comfortable, at least initially, until they have their feet wet and see how the place is before they dive into purchasing or at least renting a place long term. What does that mean? That means the places that most foreigners or expats initially buy or rent tends to be expensive compared to the person who writes this. A three-bedroom place in the middle of town, I guarantee you, will cost you over 50,000 pesos easily. If you are living outside in the provinces, that has its own problems. Brownouts, shortage of water, cleanliness, roaches, dogs, roosters, and karaoke. It's a matter of choice, preference, and compromise. What are you willing to give up to save some money? For some people who do not know and think these are not major issues, I promise you, you will be disappointed. No peace of mind, no sleep, nothing. So you have to choose. Do you want to pay $1,000 for a 1 or 2 bedroom in the middle of town? Or do you want to pay $400 or $500 for a 3-bedroom somewhere in the boonies? Fig Biscotti says, probably yes. I notice most expats I see on the elevator sport stretched out tank tops with a faded Punisher or Harley Davidson logo. Secondly, people are more likely to complain than praise the current surroundings. But, statistically speaking, most people in any random group are not the cream of the crop. And here we are looking at a self-selecting subset, those who move somewhere inexpensive. I have met some really class act expats during my month here in Cebu, but also, probably, a great number of these guys in tank tops. This person also says that most people coming to the Philippines are broke. Once again, the definition of broke is subjective. Depends who you consider broke. Most foreigners are not broke when you compare them to the local Filipino people who make $6 to $7 a day, but they might be broke for someone living in LA or New York. It depends, really. Let's read one more response before we talk about the best and worst comment from yesterday. Anonymous says, broke isn't the right word, but a decent chunk of people here are retired or on disability. They are starting to notice the rise of cost of living, especially considering what you could get for the same money even 5 or 10 years ago. My first 15,000 a month apartment was a nice condo with good amenities. Today, it goes for 25,000 a month, despite just being older. The second biggest chunk of expats are younger digital nomads that came here for a better work-life balance. They usually could earn more, but that would mean working more hours and defeat the purpose of coming here. If you are slaving away for 50 or 60 hours a week, you might as well do it at home. If you only work your 30 hours a week, then money becomes a bit scarce. Most of the rich foreigners here use the Philippines more as a vacation house. They might spend 1 or 2 months a year here, at least in my experience. Another person who makes an excellent point regarding digital nomads, perhaps, although I disagree, but he does make a point about someone being on a set amount of income per month. 5 or 10 years ago, $1,000 definitely went a lot further in the Philippines compared to now. And my favorite response comes from Sweden per. So, I make about 200,000 pesos a month, but still complain about the prices, not because I can't afford it, but because it's a rip-off. 15,000 rent is high in the province, and you expect good things for it. In Manila, it's not. My house is 12,000, but dumb asses try to get 16,000 for the exact same without furniture. It's expensive. I think smart Wi-Fi at 1,300 per month is expensive. Why? Because it's the same price as the West, and it doesn't work. Coffee for 100 pesos? I can pick one up from Julie's Bakery for 7 pesos. Why would anyone think 100 pesos is reasonable? People don't have to be cheap or broke, but being a clueless foreigner who doesn't know the true price of items is being blissfully aware that people use your ignorance. For me, it comes down to value. It annoys me that foreigners like myself and those that are coming to the country and those that have been here for a long time and have to pay lots of money for poor service and poor quality of items. I don't mind paying 200 pesos for an excellent cup of coffee, but when I pay 200 pesos in the Philippines for a cup of coffee that is stirred by someone instead of it being grinded with an espresso machine, then yes, I will complain. If the price of my electric bill is more than the price of my rent, then yes, I will complain. If it is quadrupled in the past 2 years, then yes, I will complain. If the money I'm paying for the food, which I cannot even eat, that is cold, that has been sitting there all day, under flies and in the heat, then yes, I will complain. These are issues that can be resolved. These are issues where most foreigners find it not to be fair. The best comment from yesterday, where I told you why South Koreans look down on Filipinos, comes from John Lee. He says, "Today I visited a Korean cafe. While waiting for my girlfriend to order, I saw a chunky panay sitting next to me pull out a nail clipper and casually start cutting her fingernails. Some of the nails ended up on my seat. I pointed at it. She said sorry and cleaned it. I asked my girlfriend if it's socially acceptable to do that in public, here in the country. She said no. However, this is not the first time I witnessed this behavior." Funny, this has nothing to do with the video, but it received the most likes because I'm sure many of you, just like myself, have witnessed such behavior. There is no worse comment for yesterday, even with a handful of new viewers, mostly Filipinos. Seems to me everyone knows the truth about South Korea and the Philippines. Subscribe to the channel, click thumbs up so we can please the YouTube overlords and we can continue putting out videos about the Philippines truth. Thanks for watching. God bless.